In the poem Untitled by Nikki Giovanni, the author uses dramatic irony in diction to illustrate the theme and characterization of an independent mother. Unlike many of Giovanni's poems, where both feminism and civil rights are instantly and directly addressed, this poem indirectly addresses these two very prominent roles in her poems. And this is seen within the last couple stanzas of the poem, where indirectly the narrator is talking about her world or her baby, where she says hair to be plaited, and it's instantly recognized that plaited hair is usually a cultural normality within the black community. And as well, she also says, "You are a strong woman," and this is direct, and she directly states that she is a woman, though throughout the poem she alludes to her feminism. So, in the beginning of the poem, you see that this is a woman who has been loved and who has lost a lover or a husband, and this is very much implied as throughout the entire poem. Much of the narration is implied, and the narrator uses dramatic irony when saying, "When you look at someone you used to love and enjoyed loving and want to love them again, though you know you can't." And many would understand and recognize that this woman used to have a lover and is no longer there, and it's usually implied that perhaps she has been left by him or done wrong by him. And this is affirmed in the very last stanza of the poem, where she says, "And anyway, he never thought you'd really miss him." So this affirms that the man left and was not killed or died of natural causes, but instead did wrong by her. And throughout the poem, there's small allusions of the responsibilities of a mother, and of course in this case this is a single mother. And this is seen when she begins to describe her child, and she describes her baby as her world, where she says, "Because the real world made up of baby." And she goes to describe all of the responsibilities that she has to take on as a mother, and they're emphasized through structure to emphasize the importance of her independence and all of the tasks she must achieve by herself, where she says, "Clothes to be washed, food to be cooked, lullabies to be sung, smiles to be glowed, hair to be plaited, ribbons to be bowed, coffee to be drunk, books to be read, tears to be cried, loneliness to be borne." And what I found interesting about this was within the first 4 or 5 of those, she is talking about the responsibilities she has to take on for her child, where she is cooking for the child and washing the clothes of the child, whereas in the last 4 little stanzas, she is talking about the responsibilities she takes on for herself, and they go from being physical responsibilities to the emotional aspects of being a woman, and in this case being an independent woman, where she says, "Coffee to be drunk, tears to be cried, and loneliness to be borne." And though this can be applied to the child, it's rather inferred that these traits are what the mother is taking on, where she is sleepless and needs coffee to achieve all of the responsibilities she's asked of, and tears of loneliness, happiness, what have you. And this, of course, evokes empathy within the reader, where the reader can identify that this woman is struggling and she is in pain, and she has all of these responsibilities that are required of her that she has to do on her own. what I also found interesting within this poem was the use of structure in the stanzas and the lines, where you can see that certain stanzas stick out from the others where they haven't been indented. And you piece together these certain stanzas where the poem can be read as though hyphenated as, "There is a hunger that gnaws at you because the real world says you're a strong woman." And what I found interesting was that these also help to characterize the reader and illustrate the theme of a single independent mother, where feminism in that time, not only was it hard to be a woman, but to be a single black woman, though almost stereotypical, is a incredibly large burden. And she associates this burden with a pain like a hunger, and it gnaws at her steadily as a mosquito. And